The bank that couldn't defend itself. 5 people dead. 8 wounded. 2 police officers hit. All in 127 seconds inside a Kentucky bank on April 10, 2023. But here's the number that matters in financial history. Connor Sturgeon was a 25-year-old former employee. He worked there. He knew the layout. He knew the security gaps. An Old National Bank, a $48.5 billion institution with 250 banking centers across 9 states, couldn't stop him. This isn't just another mass shooting. This is a story about what happens when a massive financial institution loses control of its own house. Let's set the scene. April 10, 2023. 8:33 a.m. Old National Bank branch at 515 South Floyd Street in Louisville. Connor James Sturgeon, 25, walks in with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun. He's armed for a war nobody else knew was coming. By 8:35 a.m., 2 minutes later, 5 people are dead. Thomas Elliott, a 63-year-old customer. Joshua Barrick, 40, a bank employee. Deanna Eckert, 57, another employee. Juliana Farmer, 45, an employee. And Jim Tutt, 65, a retired police officer who was at the bank. 8 more people injured. 2 Louisville Metro Police Department officers shot. The responding officers killed Sturgeon at the scene. He never left the building. Old National Bank, based in Evansville, Indiana, immediately released a statement. Their security protocols were followed. Their emergency response was swift. Their people behaved heroically. But here's the part nobody explained: Connor Sturgeon wasn't a random attacker. He was a former employee. He had inside knowledge. And somehow, the bank's background systems, its access controls, its security monitoring, systems that cost money to maintain, didn't prevent a known-to-them person from causing this damage. So why did this happen inside a top 30 U.S. banking company? The answer involves 3 things that rarely get discussed after these events: employee screening failures, cost-cutting decisions made years earlier, and the gap between what a bank reports about its security versus what actually exists on the ground. First, Connor Sturgeon. Before April 2023, he'd worked at Old National Bank. He knew the branch layout. He knew where people Saturday. He knew the exits. He knew the vulnerabilities. After he stopped working there, nobody, not the bank's HR department, not its security team, flagged him as a risk. No alerts. No monitoring. No follow-up. Second, Old National Bank, like every regional bank, faces constant pressure to cut costs and maximize shareholder returns. Security infrastructure, camera systems, access controls, training, isn't as visible on a balance sheet as a quarterly earnings report. It's an expense, not revenue. When a bank has 250 branches spread across 9 states, maintaining uniform, rigorous security at every location becomes expensive. And expensive gets rationalized away. Third, the bank's official narrative afterward was textbook crisis management. But it obscured a harder truth: this wasn't an unpredictable attack by a complete outsider. It was a breach by someone the institution already knew. Here's what reframes this entire story: banks don't fail because of mass shooters. They fail because of decisions made in conference rooms years before the violence. In 2023, Old National Bank was handling $48.5 billion in assets across 250 locations. That's an average of $194 million per branch. Securing that many locations with that much capital flowing through them requires constant investment. Not occasionally. Constantly. But look at what happened in the broader banking sector in the 5 years before April 2023. After COVID, regional banks faced mergers and consolidation pressure. Cost-cutting became standard. Headcount reductions. Branch closures. And in that environment, security, the infrastructure that prevents the worst outcomes, often gets deprioritized. Old National Bank survived the 2023 shooting. Their reputation took a hit, but they survived. But the event exposed something systemic. A $48.5 billion institution with thousands of employees had a security posture weak enough that a 25-year-old former employee could walk in armed and accomplish exactly what he came to do. That's not a failure of response. That's a failure of prevention. And prevention requires investment, attention, and decisions that cost money. The real lesson isn't about guns or mental health policy. That's a separate conversation. The lesson is about institutional resilience. Any organization large enough to manage billions of dollars is large enough to become a target. And when you're that size, cutting corners on the systems designed to protect people and assets isn't efficiency. It's a bet. Connor Sturgeon's attack killed 5 people and wounded 8 others. But Old National Bank's cost decisions, the ones that preceded the violence by years, created the conditions where that damage was possible. That's how institutional failure works. It happens in decisions that feel safe because they're invisible. Until they aren't. This video is for educational purposes only. Not financial advice.